Donald Trump just took a hostile takeover the party. So
Mandela, I will say when on our side, when we were experimenting with some of this infighting, it didn't bode very well with us for us when you look at some of the elections that we lost. So I would caution.
It was.
So I would caution Democrats, but to your point, I mean, it certainly is good news for Republicans. But something that Tiffany said, I think she has a very legitimate point. If you're a younger person, and I've said this even on our side, I think a lot of politicians are just old. I'm just being honest. They don't inspire a new generation of leaders. They don't inspire new ideas. And so if the premise is let's energize the next generation of leaders, I can see the legitimacy of that argument. But infighting with your party, dude, that's a horrible.
Go David Ho. Let's go. Go David Ho.
Coming up next, the panel is going to give us their nightcaps. They're going to tell us what completely unscientific wisdom they live by, inspired by the scientists' experiment that we'll tell you about next.
I get a deep sense of calm when I'm here. Whenever my schedule clears, I head straight to my happy place.
Bali allows me to pick myself first.
Thailand seemed very welcoming to me. I hate how good that tasted.
I want people to experience this beautifully intricate, diverse city. There's no other place like it. My Happy Place premieres Sunday, April 27th on CNN.
What's up, Carl Nation? It's your #1 broker with the best full-service wealth management skills in the biz.
Actually, I'm seeing something from Schwab.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Schwab lets you invest and trade on your own.
And if you want, they can even manage it for you.
Not to mention, Schwab has a team of specialists for taxes, insurance, and estate planning, all with low fees.
We're experiencing technical difficulty. Carl.
Schwab, a modern approach to wealth management.
I feel so much better about myself, and it's absolutely life-changing.
Sonobello uses micro-laser technology to remove stubborn fat permanently and in just 1 minute. I want to cry.
There's an Amber before Sonobello, and there is an Amber definitely after Sonobello.
It was pain-free. I felt incredible. A 10 out of 10. I would do it over again.
Call or visit sonobello.com for a free consultation today.
The thing about work, it's always changing. But with the right perspective, what seems confusing or just out of reach can suddenly fall into place. If it's a work thing, it's a Sherm thing.
Sure.
In our family, there was a passion for glass making that's passed down through the generations. On Ancestry, I was able to actually put together our family tree. Each person is a glass worker.
we stood on some pretty broad shoulders to get to where we're at today.
My moderate to severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. Now I have Skyrisk.
Now I'm back in the picture. Feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks with Skyrizi, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements. Skyrizi helped visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. And with Skyrizi, many were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 3 years. Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight that may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or UC. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's disease. Skyrizi is also approved for ulcerative colitis.
Did you know taking Zysol at night relieves allergies while you sleep? So you wake refreshed for a more productive day. Get 24-hour continuous relief that does not fade. Be wise all, take Zysol at night.
I've never felt this way before. Oh, you are bad news.
Don't overthink it. If it feels right, go for it.
It's like you just get me. Okay, this is the last time. The last. OMG, where'd she get those? Better get those. Where'd you get those shoes? DSW, a shoe for every you.
Style or substance. Somehow it became one or the other. But there is another choice.
not stopping until you have everything in the GMC Sierra. Or get 0.9% APR 2025 Sierra 1500 models, or get over 5,300 total value on select Sierra 1500 models.
All Laura Coates Live, next on CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by Gilt. Visit Gilt.com today for up to 70% off designer brands.
Gilt has the designers that get your heart racing. At insider prices, new every day. Hurry, they'll be gone in a flash. Designer sales at up to 70% off. Shopgilt.com today.
We are back, and it's time for the News Nightcap 5-second rule edition. A microbiologist did an experiment to investigate that rule and claims that you can eat something dropped on the floor if you pick it up within 5 seconds. I already knew that, so duh. Unfortunately, as the scientists' TikTok shows, bacteria was present on the food that even just got grazed on the floor. So you each have 30 seconds to say what you think is completely fictional, but and non-scientific, but you believe it.
If it's free or cheap, you take a little as possible. There's always something attached, Abby.
I'm always going to stick my hand in the candy jar. Sorry.
Totally. And other scholars know you never split the pole when you're walking with somebody. It can only bring a bad omen upon whatever event you are on the way to or whatever experience you plan to have. So don't split poles with friends. Don't even test it with enemies.
Adele, I said walk around. Like, I hate that.
Yeah, I will stop a person. I will stop the whole trip. I'll turn this car around.
Gosh.
I like it. My thing is dirty phones. Dirty phones don't belong on the bed or anywhere near me. And then just on a more serious note, fascists don't belong in the government. Innocent people don't belong in El Salvador.
Do we just not have fun with the night?
It's a lot of serious things going on, and I gotta say. So anyway, they are.
There's always somebody at the table during nightcaps. Sure, Michael.
I mean, my gross thing, I just don't understand people who leave their houses to run errands wearing pajamas. And I've always wondered, do they go back home and get in bed? That is so gross. Like, so that's really, really gross. Like, just put on some jeans and just come back and put your pajamas on.
Did you know that they sell, luxury pajamas that people can wear in their life?
To, like, go out?
Yeah. No, I mean, basically, that's what it is.
I'm not doing But I think you don't go back and get in bed.
No, I didn't.
See, there we go.
But I did on my sofa. I don't know if that.
Well, the sofa's okay.
Yeah.
But you're laying in bed, though, Tiff. I mean,
don't wear outside. No outside.
Don't wear outside clothes in the bed. I think is something that.
Yeah. Split the pole and outside clothes. That might be a little.
I choose as well. Everyone, thank you so much. Thank you for watching Newsnight. You can catch me anytime on your favorite social media, X, Instagram, and TikTok. In the meantime, Laura Coates Live starts right now.
The battle between President Trump and the courts hits new heights as a federal judge threatens contempt against the administration, and the DOJ is signaling it's not going to take the offer. Plus, is America about to be hit with the double whammy of economic woes? The chairman of the Federal Reserve is warning it could happen. And the president's Make America Healthy agenda takes shape, and it involves a huge slash to the federal health budget. Tonight, on the Coates Live. Welcome, everyone. I'm Omar Jimenez in for Laura. A federal judge going toe-to-toe with the Trump administration is raising the stakes, and tonight the Trump administration is punching back. The judge at the center of the legal fight over President Trump's deportation plans, James Boasberg, is out with a new ruling tonight. He writes, quote, probable cause exists to find the government in criminal contempt. And it's all related to his orders last month telling the Trump administration to turn back planes carrying migrants to El Salvador. Now, Trump's team didn't comply, or at the very least, that didn't happen. Then the DOJ stonewalled Boasberg when he tried to find out why. He says, quote, the court has given defendants ample opportunity to explain their actions. None of their responses has been satisfactory. Now, shortly after Boasberg's filing, the Trump administration moved to appeal. And all of this is happening as the president's team fights a case on another separate but related front involving a man on one of those flights to El Salvador. Gilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, the administration has admitted he was mistakenly deported. He's now locked up in El Salvador's CICOG prison, and Attorney General Pam Bondi says he's going to stay there for good.
He is not coming back to our country. President Bukele said he was not sending him back. That's the end of the story. If he wanted to send him back, we would give him a plane ride back. There was no situation ever where he was going to stay in this country. None. He's from El Salvador, he's in El Salvador, and that's where the president plans on keeping him.
And the Department of Homeland Security also released documents on Abrego Garcia's background, which the White House press secretary laid out.
Was originally arrested, he was wearing a sweatshirt with rolls of money covering the ears, mouth, and eyes of presidents on various currency denominations. This is a known MS-13 gang symbol of hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Abrego Garcia was also arrested with two other well-known members of the vicious MS-13 gang.
Now, CNN has gone through the documents, and our chief legal correspondent, Paula Reed, says it doesn't prove he's a member of MS-13.
It makes reference to the fact that a police informant said Abrego Garcia was part of MS-13, but then he was denied bond, citing this accusation. They appealed, but in an immigration bond hearing, the detainee has the burden of proof to show that they are not a flight risk nor a danger to the community, and he failed to meet that burden. But that is not a conclusive finding that he was a member of MS-13.
And Abrego Garcia's lawyers also point out he's never been convicted of any crime, gang-related or otherwise. But regardless of all of that, his background and otherwise, they argue the issue is his due process rights were violated and that the Trump administration ignored the law. The Trump administration outside the courtroom has largely focused on Abrego Garcia's background in this case, putting out that Abrego Garcia's wife filed a temporary protective order against him in 2021.
The court ordered that the respondents committed the following acts of abuse. Once in May of 2021, assault in any degree. And on May 4th of 2021, he punched and scratched his wife, ripped off her shirt, and grabbed and bruised her. This is from a court in Maryland.
Now, Abrego Garcia's wife isn't denying she filed the order, but said this in a statement to CNN. After surviving domestic violence in a previous relationship, I acted out of caution after a disagreement with Gilmar by seeking a civil protective order in case things escalated. Things did not escalate, and I decided not to follow through with the civil court process. That is not a justification for ICE's action. But the Trump administration might be betting this will influence the court, because it's been part of their attack line on Democrats, for example, for defending Abrego Garcia in this case. Democrats like Senator Chris Van Hollen, who traveled to El Salvador to try to meet him. He wasn't able to, but he did speak with El Salvador's vice president, and he asked him why Abrego Garcia is being held in prison without any corroborated evidence, as the judge in this case has characterized it, that he's a member of MS-13.
His answer was that the Trump administration is paying El Salvador, the government of El Salvador, to keep him in CICOG.
All right, a lot to talk about here. Joining me now, CNN analyst Solon K&O Youngs. We talked about the pronunciation earlier. Maryland State's attorney of the county where Abrego Garcia lived, Aisha Brayboy, and former communications aide to Senator Lindsey Graham, TW. Thank you all for being here. Aisha, I want to start with you because, look, Judge Boasberg clearly frustrated about what he calls a willful disregard of his orders. But who can he actually hold responsible for criminal? Intent here? Is it lawyers or is it other members of the Trump administration?
You know, it's anyone who is helping to subvert the rule of law. I mean, it really is about our Constitution. We are really at a constitutional crisis right now. We have three co-equal branches of government, each designed to have a check on the other because we live in a democracy. And so we don't live in a dictatorship. When the courts have issued an order, we have to follow it. We may not always like it, but it is the law. And unless you want to appeal the decision of the court, you must follow it. And even if you are appealing it, in this case, it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. Think about that. The Supreme Court, the top and highest judicial power and authority in our land, said that this man should be returned to the status he was at prior to this administrative error. And this administration refuses to do it.
And of course, the question is, what does facilitate mean versus effectuate? And TW, one of the things I think is interesting here is, look, you've got these proceedings happening inside court. You've also got this environment happening outside court as well. And Judge Boasberg even cited a particular New York Post headline: in order to return the deportees to the U.S., the president of El Salvador responded, "Oopsie, too late," with a laughing emoji, and that was reposted by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Look, you work in comms, or you have. I'm sure you're constantly weighing whether public communications could influence judicial proceedings. Do you see anything wrong with that post? And I just wonder what you make of sort of the inside the courtroom, inside the courtroom relationship.
Yeah, well, I think Mr. Garcia's case is now fully in the hands of because Mr. Garcia is an El Salvadorian citizen that is his president. Look, for Judge Boasberg, I can only simply say that I am not a lawyer, so I won't hear the issue next to the esteemed lawyer to my right. But I will tell you that I do believe that President Trump is on at least some sound footing with the Alien Enemies Act. And just as a history buff and viewer of how this thing played out in a reader of how this thing played out in 1798, I've been shocked at how misread the original law and the intent for the law that was written. So I think will play out. As for the tweet, of course, it's tongue-in-cheek. That's sort of what he's kind of become known for as a younger leader of the Central American nation. And, the fate of Mr. Garcia now hangs in his hands. And the Supreme Court, as you just mentioned, didn't really make a firm judgment that they had to go with that. It was a matter of facilitation with the country of origin of that individual.
And the Judge Sinas, has talked about sort of Trump administration's action sort of flying in the face of the plain meaning of facilitate. And that seems to be among the many tensions they've had in this particular case. But Zolan, look, the White House said they're going to appeal. What sort of happens next here on the Boasberg side?
Well, on the Boasberg side of things, we have a blueprint that he's laid out, right? I mean, he has basically threatened contempt proceedings. Unless the administration does what essentially he's been asking for the last month, which is to provide these migrants a chance to contest, a chance for the process, a chance to contest this implication of the Alien Enemies Act, and also just to present some basic facts of what happened when those flights left on March 15th. Thus far, you see the administration stonewall those efforts. But what I think is interesting is he didn't just threaten contempt proceedings. He also said that if they don't comply with that, then he would, as an option, he could refer this to the Justice Department. And then say the administration directs the Justice Department to drop that. Well, then he actually would look at this carve-out that would basically allow him to appoint his own prosecutor as well. So there's a whole blueprint of actions that Boasberg is saying that he can take here, which I think shows just how far we've gotten in terms of the executive branch and the judicial branch really clashing against each other on this case. On the subject of intelligence, one thing that is facilitating the Supreme Court order, well, the administration in that Oval Office the other day made it clear they think that this is unaccounted. Today, with Senator Van Hollen of El Salvador, he says he spoke with an official who said, we're working here because the U.S. is paying El Salvador $6 million to take these migrants in as well. So you have two sides that are pointing at each other. And while the Supreme Court may have said facilitate, they also did point out that they feel this should be returned. And it's worth just to take a step back. Because 2019, after he went through his immigration proceedings, he was given a withholding of removal status, which does say that judge felt that deporting him back to El Salvador specifically was included against torture or violence. And that's why they shielded him from deportation. That's why you have the administration saying that it was an error to report.
I think there's a big caveat there because she cited harm and gain. Right? They just implying he had affiliations with here, which is the underlying point of this entire thing. of this entire case. So, we can say, oh, he wasn't a part of MS-13, even though the court ruled he was, and then an informant. In fact, down some of the court has never that Mr. Garcia was a part of MS-13. So I think that's one of the issues that has been out there. People have been just using terms like this is a gang member in a way to gate people against Mr. Garcia. And it's not just Mr. Garcia, it's any brown person that gets supported. And that's the biggest issue because not everyone who's here is a member of a gang.
And I actually just want to ask you, because, look, you are the state in the county where Abrego Garcia lived. Released the 2019 arrest record in County, where it cited a confidential source saying Abrego Garcia was a gang member. It describes the Chicago Bulls hat and the hoodie symbols they say indicate gang culture. And just to know, this is from the 2019. It's given the Google to show current affiliation. But bottom line, look, your office works with law enforcement all the time in cases. When it comes to a police informant, how do you determine the credibility of a single informant?
So, well, look, this was information that was entered into a system called GATE, which has since been disbanded. That information was entered in by an officer who interviewed Mr. Garcia at the time that he was arrested, but he was not charged with the crime. He was handed over to ICE because he was out of the country legally, and then he went through an ICE proceeding. After that proceeding, he remained in the country and he had a status, the withholding from the legal status. He's been worked in this country. He's been here. Has never been charged with any crime in Prince George's County or anywhere else in this country as we know it. Now, I work with law enforcement all the time, and I have been very hard prosecuting gangs, and I've prosecuted many gang leaders and offenders in our community, and we have gotten really great results. But he is not someone who has ever been the target of an investigation or a crime that we prosecuted in our county. So whether he had any affiliation or relationship or knew people who were in gangs, his actions since he's been here with respect to, criminal laws, criminal wrongdoing, it's just not here, except the fact that he was not illegal. Other than his status as someone who's undocumented, there are no other crimes for which he was charged.
So you're saying, right, for a sort of pinning of a label for gang member, you would have wanted to see a further step.
Well, just like in any case, we have to present evidence, we have to present facts. We can't just draw conclusions, right? And so I think that's why this case is very interesting. Whether he's a gang member or not, we don't know. And the fact is, no one has ever quote-unquote proven that in the court of law. There was an informant who provided information that was entered into a GateNet system, okay, that again have now been disbanded because there were issues with that system. And so this individual, again, has never been charged with a crime in Prince George's County. So he was never on our radar for committing an offense in our jurisdiction or in the state.
I gotta leave it there. You have a quick word?
Yeah, I would simply say that was given so that the evidence must be held up to some degree. And secondly, that informant knew the two people he was arrested with, cited also his rank and his nickname in the game, and that would clearly carry weight and led to a reply.
But again, he was allowed to remain in this country under the prior Trump administration. This is in 2019. So if he were a vicious gang leader, then he should have been deported at that time.
The only enemy that doesn't. And that, of course, the question that is playing out in two separate cases, separate but related, and I have a feeling whether it goes to a special prosecutor level and the judge goes for a spot or wherever it goes in another case. I'll have you back. More to talk about, and I appreciate it. All right, coming up, everyone, a stock sell-off, the dollar falling, and a huge warning from the chair of the Federal Reserve.
As that great Chicagoan Ferris Bueller once noted, life moves pretty fast.
And the dollar's moving pretty fast as well. Is this the economy Trump voters expected? Governor John Kasich tells us yes. Plus, the billions in cuts the Trump administration is planning for the country's health services, that's all favors.
Are you ready for more? Ready. Topless. The answer, yes. That is really good.
Even on board, searching for spending premieres April 27th. Yeah. Artificial intelligence is vital to America's economic future. We must lead in developing AI, including open and closed source models. As the global leader in AI, America can strengthen small businesses, create new jobs, and spread our tech innovations across the globe. But if Washington ties the hands of America's innovators, China will gain a global economic advantage. America must lead. America must innovate. America must win. Our leaders must protect our competitive edge.
Living with your albuterol asthma rescue inhaler? It's a bit of a dinosaur because albuterol only treats symptoms, not inflammation. Asthma experts support rescue that treats both symptoms and inflammation. It's time to replace your rescue with Air Supra. Air Supra is the first and only dual-action asthma rescue inhaler FDA approved to treat symptoms and help prevent asthma attacks. Welcome to the modern age of dual-action asthma rescue. Air Supra should not be used as an maintenance treatment for asthma. Get medical help right away if your breathing doesn't improve or worsens, or for serious allergic reactions like rash, mouth or tongue swelling, trouble breathing or swallowing, or chest pain. Using Air Supra more than prescribed could be life-threatening. Serious side effects include increased risk of thrush or infections, or heart problems like faster heart rate and higher blood pressure. Break free from albuterol-only rescue. Ask your doctor about Air Supra, a dual-action rescue inhaler for asthma.
Ned's excited for his big date, but he's wondering.
What if the flaky black throws me off my game?
What if Ned knew he could treat differently?
Otezla is the #1 prescribed pill to treat plaque psoriasis. Otezla can help you get clearer skin and reduce itching and flaking. Doctors have been prescribing Otezla for over a decade. Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts.
With clear skin, Ned's movie night could be a groovy night. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Scan to learn more.
All right. So that's one pair of glasses.
Yep.
With prescription lenses. Plus anti-reflective lens coating.
Oh.
Scratch-resistant coating.
Did I choose?
UV protection. Award-winning customer service.
That's me.
That's also me. Free returns, free exchanges, and free frame adjustments for life.
And how much more is that?
Oh, it's all included at Warby Parker.
So my glasses
are still just $95.
Oh.
Surprise! I just get excited.
This is a meal. We're talking a good food that makes you feel good meal. A good meal that gets you to slow down and actually taste your meal. Yum. Now, meal this. How about a salad for the first time in a week meal? Or a catching up with your ex meal?
So, how's your mom?
Been there. Oh, look, a scoring full dad points meal.
It's like having a church.
Obviously. Think you nailed it, Dad. Wait, do I spy an I need 5 minutes to myself meal? Okay, we'll leave you to it. Enjoy. A good meal is all that and a side baguette. Whatever you're feeling, at Panera, it just meals good.
But I was wondering if you had any sugar I could borrow. I didn't want to go all the way to the store. So, you don't have to answer, but I know you can hear me, being that you got this Ring doorbell on. I hear you on the inside, but nobody's answering the door. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm your neighbor from there. I know this is a bit of an odd request, but I was wondering if you had any sugar I could borrow.
And that's have I got news for you. New Saturday on CNN.
He's normally one of the most reserved people in Washington, but Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell had a pretty stark warning about Trump's trade wars.
Unemployment is likely to go up as the economy slows, in all likelihood, and inflation is likely to go up as tariffs find their way, and some part of those tariffs come to be paid by the public.
And as you might imagine, when the Fed chair speaks, the markets listen. And investors did not seem to like what they heard today. Stocks tumbled after Powell said the U.S. economy could face a challenging trifecta of higher costs, higher unemployment, and slower growth, all because of Trump's tariffs. Now, I want to bring in former Republican governor of Ohio, John Kasich. He chaired the House Budget Committee while in Congress and also worked as an investment banker. He's also the author of the new book, Heaven Help Us, How Faith Communities Inspire Hope, Strengthen Neighborhoods, and Build the Future. Depending on who you are, a lot of people saying heaven help us tonight. But Governor, you called Trump's approach to tariffs total chaos. Fed Chair Powell is also warning they could cause higher inflation, higher unemployment, slower growth, all that at the same time. Where do you see Republicans' place in this to speak out or even push back?
Well, clearly in the Congress, except for 7 senators that said that they thought they should see some authority back, they're like missing in action. And Omar, we're supposed to have 3 branches of government: the executive, the judicial, and the legislative. And the fact of the matter is, the legislative branch has been muzzled for many years, not just now, but it's been
got him.
Instead of having those 3 balanced against one another, the legislative branch has gone away, and the Republicans have said nothing. I was in the Congress for a significant period of time, and as a Republican, we never supported all these tariffs. We were basically free traders, fair traders, but free traders. We didn't believe that tariffs were good. And now what do we see happening? We see the bond market, we see high yields, we see weakness in the bond market. We're beginning to see maybe a little reignited inflation, which you hear the chairman of the Fed talk about today. We see the value of the dollar plummet, which some people think that is a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing. So we've seen a weakened dollar. We've seen a weakened bond market. We see the prospect of higher prices, more inflation. I mean, this is not a policy that has ever worked. And I just frankly don't understand why, after 80 years of peace and prosperity, we've decided that, the formula doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't make sense to me.
And, one of the big tests that people are looking for sort of in watching this performance is how will this be tested in the midterms? Obviously some time away, but will come up pretty quickly. And our Ali Reeves, CNN's Ali Reeves, spoke to some people in eastern South Dakota, for example, where Trump won 70% of the vote. There is a lot of concern, but some do seem willing to give Trump time. Just take a quick listen.
Sure.
I wanted Trump. He wanted Chip. There was no way in hell I wanted her right there. But now I don't know. What would have been better?
I just think we need to let the president do what he's doing, and we need to just see what's going to happen here and give him a little latitude so that, if it doesn't work, then we're going to have to try something different.
And, the president has he says that they're in negotiation with at least 15 countries.
Omar.
Say again?
Omar, I listened to the farmer. Yeah. I hope he's not going to come to Washington and say, I need a subsidy now because the tariffs are really hurting me.
Well, I guess that's the question. How much leeway will Trump supporters give him, and for how long?
Well, look, the country wanted things shaken, okay? And they saw the pendulum move too far to the left. And now the pendulum is coming back, and the question is how far will it go to the right? Now, I don't consider tariffs to be to the right, but it's sort of the conservatives moving it away from where the Democrats had it. And so they're willing to give him a chance. You're beginning to see some of his numbers slip. It has not been dramatic, but in fact, his numbers are not as good as they were among Republicans, but Republicans are still willing to give him a chance. And I think that's why you're not seeing much from the members of the Republican Party in either the House or the Senate. And you saw what happened to Chuck Grassley. Chuck Grassley goes out there and he gets pummeled at the age of 92. And frankly, I think he was shocked. I don't know why he was shocked. Did he not know that people, at least in his state, were concerned, even if it was the base of the Democrats coming out and raising Cain with him? But, there's just a lot of turmoil and chaos. And whenever the country is divided, we don't do as well as when the country is united. And this is a pattern, Omar, in some respects, when you look at our foreign policy as well. America's sort of retreating, trying to go it alone. And I understand the need for renegotiation on some of these trade agreements. I also understand the fact that people want some manufacturing to come back. But Omar, with the manufacturing, not going to come a lot of jobs because now we use technology. And even in steel making, if you take a look at the numbers that are involved, the individual themselves can produce a lot more. So we may get some more manufacturing, but you're not going to see this tremendous growth in jobs because it's now in the technical space.
And we've heard from some auto industry leaders that even if manufacturing jobs do come back, it's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. Governor, I want to talk about your new book, Heaven Help Us, because it's an interesting title. Could be positive or worrying, but bottom line, you highlight the real life stories of a cross section of faiths. Sort of at the crux of each story is radical generosity. Can you just tell us about it and how you believe it sort of applies to this moment in American politics?
Yeah. Well, Omar, a lot of people don't know what to do. And what I say is there's things you can do right where you live. And, using the institutions of the church, the synagogue, or the mosque, there are many things, including, fighting hunger, dealing with human trafficking, the homeless, what happens with the autistic as they age. These are many things that if you go into your institution, if you have a purpose, if you have a mission, you can realize your purpose, you can get other people to help you and get some of the resources from those institutions to help build a stronger community. And when we think about that, think of it this way. If the Secretary of State and your trash man both went on vacation, who would you miss most? Because most politics occurs at the local level and all change comes from the bottom up. This is not a book about politics, but it's a playbook for how people can find purpose and make a difference in their lives and in the lives of their community through the institutions of faith.
And again, with the title that, depending on who you are, maybe the words you have said many times or not. Heaven Help Us by Governor John Kasich. Thank you again. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, Omar, and good luck.
All right, CNN obtaining internal documents from within the Trump administration laying out plans for billions of dollars in cuts at the Department of Health and Human Services. That comes as a top researcher quit, citing censorship under RFK Jr. So what's going on? We've got a house call with Dr. Reiner.
Why can't we say we're the best home shopping site? Because while true, you just can't say that legally.
What if we said it in Spanish?
Homes.com es el mejor.
No. What if he said
Homes.com. It's the best.
Homes.com.
It's the best. This is Steve. Steve takes Voquest. This is Steve's stomach, where Voquesta can kick some ass. Heal erosive esophagitis, also known as erosive GERD, and relieve related heartburn. Voquesta is the first and only FDA-approved treatment of its kind. 93% of adults were healed by 2 months. Of those healed, 79% stayed healed. Plus, Voquesta can provide heartburn-free days and nights. And is also approved to relieve heartburn related to non-erosive GERD.
Other serious stomach conditions may exist. Don't take if allergic to Voquesta or while on Rilpivirine. Serious allergic reactions include trouble breathing, rash, itching, and swelling of face, lips, tongue, or throat. Serious side effects may include kidney problems, intestinal infection, fractures, life-threatening skin reactions, low B12 or magnesium levels, and stomach growths. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, medications, and if you have diarrhea, persistent stomach pain or fever, decreased or bloody urine, seizures, dizziness, irregular heartbeat, jitteriness, chills, shortness of breath, muscle aches or weakness, spasms of hands, feet, or voice.
Voquesta can help kick some ass. And so can you. Ask your doctor about Voquesta.
And the winner is T-Mobile Home Internet. J.D. Power's #1 in customer satisfaction for home wireless internet.
We just want to thank T-Mobile.
The wrap it up music already? Really?
T-Mobile Home Internet has
That's price lock. They won't raise your rate on the internet.
I didn't even get to thank my gram.
Or tell people that with T-Mobile, there's even a plan with Paramount Plus and Hulu included.
The winner is T-Mobile Home Internet with plans starting at $35 a month with price lock.
Thank you.
Every moment you every day you wake, make no mistake, we'll be helping you. Every breath you take.
Hey, Dad, I have a question for you.
Sure.
When did Granddad first start investing?
Granddad had an account with Schwab before the branches in the area. He really started with nothing. He worked hard, and after he passed away, the torch has been passed to me, and my advisor, Jennifer, she was with me with the journey, helping with the estate distribution. The 2 grandchildren, planning for their college educations. Someday it'll be their turn.
To me, lawn service is a scam. There's no loan service for you. Unfortunately, I don't trust them very much because I don't know what they're putting down. Nobody's going to pay attention to your lawn like you do. It's the whole point of owning a home is that you maintain your own lawn.
I'm taking care of this lawn from day one.
I take pride in it, and when people tell me it looks good, it makes me feel even better.
Do you use a loan service?
Absolutely not. I have you.
I know what I'm putting down when I put Scott's down. I'm putting down a great product.
This is a meal. Melty, cheesy, flaky, toasty. Lunch just got croissant-tastic. Try the new croissant toast sandwiches. It just meals good after noon.
Rock, paper, scissors for who's on dinner duty?
Nice try.
I'll get it.
Easy weeknight dinners.
You have a UTI at 30,000 feet. Yeah, you need a doctor. Good thing you can chat with an Amazon One medical provider from anywhere. That way, beds will be at your hotel, maybe even before you arrive. Now just brace your urethra for turbulence.
A public health crisis, like nothing I've ever seen before. Our whole generation of kids we are now the sickest country in the world.
Now, we've heard these talking points from Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. time and time again, but for someone who says battling chronic disease in America is his top priority, he is about to initiate a potential slap to the budget of the agency he runs. Tonight, CNN obtaining internal documents revealing the White House's budget proposal for HHS. That proposal would slash funding for the agency by nearly a third, from about $120 billion to just $80 billion. And the things this proposal seeks to eliminate are pretty staggering. According to the memo, the CDC could lose about 40% of its funding, eliminating chronic disease prevention programs and domestic HIV/AIDS prevention. The National Institutes of Health would go from 27 research centers to 8. And a new administration for a Healthy America would consolidate other agencies and fund new research for Make America Healthy Again initiatives like finding the cause of autism. Joining me now to break it all down, CNN medical analyst and professor of medicine and surgery at George Washington University, Dr. John Weiner. Really appreciate you being here. Look, all of what I mentioned is part of a proposal, I guess, at this point, so always subject to change. But what could some of the consequences of these spending cuts be on a practical level?
Well, first of all, this is potentially just a tragic, evisceration of the world's greatest medical research institute. And what makes it even more tragic is that it's a potentially self-inflicted wound. You can't cut that much money, almost 40% out of NIH, taking the NIH budget from $47 billion to $27 billion without basically just shelving dozens and dozens of programs. And when you do that, you lose these coveted researchers who will move to industry, they'll move to universities, some will move out of the country. NIH is one of the most coveted jobs in in medical research in the world, and we are going to gut it. And what that's going to mean practically is innovation is going to drop. Discoveries are going to drop. Hope for people with neglected diseases or diseases right now that don't have effective treatments will be lost. This is just a completely unnecessary, tragic potential move on the part of this administration. And the sad thing is that, although these numbers sound big, cutting $40 billion from NIH, in the total HHS budget, that's like a drop in the ocean. And they're cutting these pivotal programs because the big dollars, almost $1.7 trillion in HHS, is untouchable in Medicare and Medicaid.
As part of this too, we're also learning grants for rural hospitals and state offices of rural health would be eliminated under this proposal. Obviously, these are communities. In some cases, these are communities that voted overwhelmingly for Trump, but also they don't have the same access to care as big cities. When you look at the impact on rural communities especially, what differences do you see there as opposed to what someone might feel in a New York City or Los Angeles?
Right. So in D.C. where I live, or New York City where I'm from, there are hospitals everywhere. There are dozens and dozens of hospitals. In rural communities over the last couple of decades, we've seen basically a hollowing out of the healthcare infrastructure. And you need to drive a long way to find a hospital or a clinic in some parts of the United States. And these are parts of the country that have a lot of poor people who depend on access to these kinds of places that are heavily dependent on federal funds. And if you gut those funds, those hospitals and clinics will close and people will go without care.
And that becomes the question, because there are in some communities where people are driving 30 minutes, an hour, sometimes even more for specific types of care just to get to a hospital that can assist. I also want to ask you about the Citizen published a study yesterday showing the autism diagnosis rate for children rose to 1 in 31 in 2022. That's up from 1 in 36 in 2020. Now, the study points to better access to screening and identification services as one of the reasons for this increase. But today, Health Secretary RFK Jr. is really contradicting that finding, coming up with his own explanation. Just take a listen to what he said.
This is a preventable disease. We know it's an environmental exposure. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted.
Now, I just have to say, autism is a spectrum, and while there are some cases that people are more physically impaired than others, it's not a complete broad brush of the strokes. Just want to say that before I ask you, though. What is your reaction to sort of RFK Jr.'s posturing coming out of the CDC study here?
Well, I have to say, there's never been a less qualified person to run a major department in the United States, ever. He is just totally unsuited for that job. And I would think that somebody who cares so much about autism and spends so many years of his life trying to figure out why autism exists, that he would know more about the disease. And when he made that statement about never pay taxes, never hold a job, never play baseball, that offended millions of people in this country whose kids who live with autism spectrum disorder, as you said, a spectrum. So some of these kids, many of these kids are now young people, live very productive lives, do pay taxes, do play baseball, do get married. And his apparent, inability to understand the reality of this disease goes hand in hand with his inability to understand that vaccines do not cause autism. That is proven. Vaccines do not cause autism. But he is going to persevere until he presents to the United States public, data that validates his completely unproven, disproven notion about the origins of autism. The true origins are this is a complex problem, a lot of genetic components, perhaps some environmental triggers, but the seeds of autism are found in utero in the months before birth.
Dr. Reiner, really appreciate the time and perspective. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Meanwhile, another hit for Harvard, the Trump administration using yet another tool of the government to retaliate against the university. We're going to tell you what their plans are next. And I'm going to speak to a professor calling this, quote, the symptom of a profound disease dictatorship. Stay tuned.
My Happy Place premieres Sunday, April 27th on CNN.
This is Steve. Steve takes VoQuest. This is Steve's stomach, where VoQuest can kick some acid, heal erosive esophagitis, also known as erosive GERD, and relieve related heartburn. VoQuest is the first and only FDA-approved treatment of its kind. 93% of adults were healed by 2 months. Of those healed, 79% stayed healed. Plus, VoQuest can provide heartburn-free days and nights, and is also approved to relieve heartburn related to non-erosive GERD.
Other serious stomach conditions may exist. Don't take if allergic to VoQuest or while on rilpivirine. Serious allergic reactions include trouble breathing, rash, itching, and swelling of face, lips, tongue, or throat. Serious side effects may include kidney problems, intestinal infection, fractures, life-threatening skin reactions, low B12 or magnesium levels, and stomach growths. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, medications, and if you have diarrhea, persistent stomach pain or fever, decreased or bloody urine, seizures, dizziness, irregular heartbeat, jitteriness, chills, shortness of breath, muscle aches or weakness, spasms of hands, feet, or voice.
VoQuest can help kick some ass, and so can you. Ask your doctor about VoQuest.
At Morgan Stanley, old school hard work meets bold thinking. Partnering to unlock new ideas, to create new businesses, to transform a company, industry, economy, generation. Because great and vision working in lockstep puts you on the path to your full potential. Old school group, new ideas. Morgan Stanley.
With GoodRx, my family saves hundreds of dollars each month.
I have insurance, but I still use GoodRx because it's still cheaper than going through my insurance. I tell everyone, just check GoodRx.
Make me feel so miserable.
Flonase relieves your worst allergy symptoms so you can start feeling better the same day. Save your relationship with nature. Flonase.
We started Warby Parker with a box of glasses. Since we didn't have stores at the time, we took you 5 frames to try for free. People thought we were crazy, especially because our prescription glasses were only $95 instead of $400. Now we're rethinking the way people shop again. This time, in stores. And we have locations all over the country. By the way, you can still try on glasses at home, but now virtually.
I had type 2 diabetes, but I managed well. It's a little pill with a big storm. No, I take one daily Jardians at each day start. As time went on, it was easy to see. I'm lowering my A1C.
And for adults with type 2 diabetes and known heart disease, Jardians can lower the risk of cardiovascular death too. Serious side effects include increased ketones in blood or urine, which can be fatal. Stop Jardians and call your doctor right away if you have nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, trouble breathing, or increased ketones. Jardians may cause dehydration that can suddenly worsen kidney function and make you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or weak upon standing. Genital yeast infections in men and women, urinary tract infections, low blood sugar, or a rare life-threatening bacterial infection between and around the anus and genitals can occur. Call your doctor right away if you have fever or feel weak or tired, and pain, tenderness, swelling, or redness in the genital area. Don't use if allergic to Jardians. Stop use if you have a serious allergic reaction. Call your doctor if you have rash, swelling, difficulty breathing, or swallowing. You may have increased risk for lower limb loss. Call your doctor right away if you have new pain or tenderness, sores, ulcers, or infection in your legs or feet.
Giants is really swell, a little pill with a big story to tell.
Welcome back. The Trump administration's demands against Harvard keep coming. Tonight, the Homeland Security Department is issuing a new ultimatum against the university. Reveal the activities of foreign student visa holders in 2 weeks, or, quote, lose the privilege of enrolling foreign students. And it comes after sources told CNN the IRS is making plans to revoke Harvard's tax-exempt status. Universities are tax-exempt because they're nonprofit groups, but the idea is that their benefit to society exempts them from paying taxes. The Trump administration, though, argues Harvard has lost that status because the pro-Palestinian protests on campus after October 7th were anti-Semitic, endangering Jewish students and violating federal rules to prevent discrimination. Now, the education secretary says other universities may lose their tax.
I've only heard the reference right now to Harvard, but I think if IRS looks at it, they might look at it across other universities. That's a guess on my part.
So far, no comment from Harvard University on its tax-exempt status, but Harvard has already said it would not surrender its independence. Joining me now is Bruce Ackerman, professor of law and political science at Yale Law School. Really appreciate you being here. Professor, I just want to start with, this feels like another escalation in sort of Trump's battle with Harvard, America's oldest university, but it's also one of many attacks against institutions. I mean, you're a political science professor at one of these Ivy League universities. But what do you make of it?
Well, this is only a part of an unprecedented assault. Genuinely unprecedented in 200 and almost 50 years of American constitutional development on the system of checks and balances, which is the fundamental system for preventing dictatorship. And for 250 years, this system, however rough and ready it was, and many occasions has worked. But in this case, the assault on the universities is only a part of this general assault. But so far as the universities are concerned, for reasons that are quite obscure, if you look at the list of universities who, in one way or another, the Trump administration has threatened, Yale isn't on it. Harvard is, but Yale isn't. However, 100 senior professors at Yale, one of them me, have already signed a letter saying that Yale should not stand on the sidelines and let this disaster occur. Instead, we should, the corporation, the managing, the president of the university should stand up and be counted, because this is a turning point in the entire system of university education that has done so much for this country.
Yeah, and for those curious, the IRS has revoked the tax-exempt status of a university before. It was Bob Jones University in 1976, and that was over banning interracial relationships among students. So maybe not unprecedented in the technical nature of it, but obviously when you look at this situation, for example, you laid out your concerns very clearly. This is a Trump administration-based fight right now, but I wonder, what do you see as the long-term consequences and stakes of this particular fight that it sounds like Yale is prepared to wage alongside Harvard if it comes to that point?
Well, I cannot speak for the president of the university, and we do not speak for them. But the important thing to keep in mind is that this is only one element of this general attack on independent institutions that check and balance and constrain presidential tyranny.
As you've laid out, there is a lot of concern about the future and whether these institutions may be irreparably damaged. But what do you hope comes out of this moment?
Well, you see, if this down the masses of people are in swing states are going to vote against this terrible effort at monopolizing all power in the presidency, then Trump is going to face a Democratic Congress that will, and I will certainly participate in this, that will impeach him. The House, with a strong Democratic majority, will impeach him for high crimes and misdemeanors. This is a much more striking example of abuse of presidential power than Richard Nixon's Watergate.
Really appreciate you being on tonight, and thank you for taking the time, Professor Ackerman.
Righto.
Coming up, Elon Musk and Doge have a new job. Here's a hint as to what they're working on.
Yes, I got a golden ticket. I got a golden ticket. I got a golden ticket strolling my way. And with a golden ticket, it's a golden.
Asthma. Does it have you missing out on what you love, with who you love? Get back to better breathing with this.
Asked you here tonight.
I'm moving to Hawaii.
Okay, puppy.
bikes, I know, but the Lost Motorcycle Club has the ones you're after at their East LS clubhouse. Now, you almost there? Hey, you're after the sports bikes, not the choppers. The choppers won't be fast enough to get you away from the cops, and if they were, they wouldn't be able to turn a corner. These bikes use a kinetic energy recovery system. They store the energy you use braking to accelerate later on. You'll burn the cops and save the environment while you're at it. Okay, as always, don't let them know you're breaking in until you want them to know you're breaking in. There's a bike each. We need all four for the job. When you've got them, stash them in the alley for the job. Sounds like the Lost are mobilizing their troops. A wrecked bike is no good to us, people. Stay out in front of them. I think you're in the clear. Drop the bikes in the alley. We're nearly a go.
How's he back?
Than anticipated, and the same is likely to be true of the economic effects.
That could mean higher inflation for longer, an economic slowdown, plus higher unemployment, and not just in the United States. And as economic turmoil spreads across the planet,
This is a monumental discovery.
good news! Scientists have found another one, apparently teeming with signs of life.
Live from Atlanta, this is CNN Newsroom with John Hawes.
In the 87 days since his inauguration, the US president has been locked in a bitter feud with the judges who blocked or slowed the implementation of many of his controversial policies. But that feud could soon be coming to a head, with officials in the Justice Department facing a rare but very real threat of being held in criminal contempt of court. Federal Court Judge James Boasberg ruled in the Trump administration violated an emergency order to stop last month's forced deportation of hundreds of men accused of belonging to a violent criminal gang. Despite the court's restraining order, 2 of the 3 deportation flights left the U.S. for El Salvador, but 238 men are still being held in a notorious mega prison. In a 46-page-long ruling, Boasberg writes, the government's actions on that day demonstrate a willful disregard for the order sufficient for the court to conclude that probable cause exists to find the government in criminal contempt. The U.S. Justice Department is planning an appeal saying the alleged gang members were legally deported under the very rarely used Alien Enemies Act of 1798, claiming they were all part of an invasion of the U.S. More details now from CNN's chief legal affairs correspondent, Paula Reed.
This case has become a flashpoint in the tension between the White House and the federal courts. And here, Judge James Boasberg, who has repeatedly been attacked by President Trump, has found that the government's actions last month when it came to deportations under the Alien Enemies Act, specifically the fact that they did not turn around planes full of migrants who were being deported to El Salvador after the judge ordered them to be sent back, constitute a willful disregard of his order. Now, the Justice Department has argued he had overstepped his bounds. He's trying to interfere in questions of foreign policy. But now he says he will begin contempt proceedings unless these migrants are given an opportunity to have their cases heard. Now, the Supreme Court weighed in on this larger issue, the use of the sweeping wartime authority, the Alien Enemies Act, to facilitate deportations, and it found that the administration can use this act as long as the individuals who are deported have a court hearing. So it does appear that Boasberg is just sort of endorsing what the Supreme Court said. It's also a little bit surprising that he is pursuing contempt because, again, the administration won on the larger issue for now at the Supreme Court. But it is clear the administration says it will fight this. Paula Reed, CNN, Washington.
Joining me now from San Francisco is Erwin Chemerinsky, is the Dean of the UC Berkeley School of Law. Thank you for being with us.
Good evening.
So I want you to hear a little bit more from that ruling by federal judge James Boasberg. He wrote this: the Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial orders, especially by officials of a coordinated branch who've sworn an oath to uphold it. So despite that, the administration appears to have violated the Constitution and defied court rulings to stop those violations multiple times, almost at will. What happens if the criminal contempt charge becomes a reality and the Trump White House simply ignores it? Then what?
Well, then Judge Boasberg could hold them in contempt of court. He would refer it to the United States Department of Justice to prosecute. It's unlikely that the Trump Justice Department would do so. But then, as Chief Judge Boasberg points out, he has the authority to appoint a private lawyer to bring the prosecution for criminal contempt. What's important to remember here is whether his order is legal or not, orders must be complied with until they're vacated or overturned. He's absolutely right to say the government defiance of his order is contempt of court.
Usually just the mere suggestion of being held in contempt is enough to rectify any issue a judge may have in court. Instead, the U.S. president has actually gone after Judge Boasberg like this. Listen to this.
Many people have called for his impeachment, the impeachment of this judge. He's radical left. What do you do when you have a rogue judge? He's a lunatic.
That was back in March, and other judges have also been publicly criticized for rulings which went against the president. Do you see this as part of a strategy here by the White House to try and undermine the judiciary, the independence, also to intimidate judges?
It is definitely a strategy to intimidate judges. Never in American history has a judge been impeached or removed because of disagreeing about rulings. I know of no other instance where a president has referred to a judge as a lunatic. And Chief Judge Boasberg has a reputation of being a moderate, not a liberal at all.
And we see the White House, which continues to apply a Supreme Court ruling to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man who was mistakenly sent to a mega prison in El Salvador. And on Wednesday, there was part of the evidence put forward by the Trump White House justifying Garcia's deportation. Listen to this.
When Kilmar Abrego Garcia was originally arrested, he was wearing a sweatshirt with rolls of money covering the ears, mouth, and eyes of presidents on various currency denominations. This is a known MS-13 gang symbol of hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil.
If Garcia was given the right to due process, that stuff, I guess, we would never hold up in court. Seems the administration is not just defying the Supreme Court, but the response to the order for Garcia's return seems to be openly mocked by many within the administration.
First, there's no authority in the United States to put anybody in a prison in El Salvador. No matter what Garcia did or didn't do, the government is acting illegally in housing people in El Salvador.
Second, an attorney for the United States government admitted to the court 2 weeks ago that Abrego Garcia was apprehended by mistake. This has now been, seems, invented by the government. And third, a judge has ordered that he be returned to the United States. And the Trump administration is saying, once somebody is in El Salvador, no court has the authority to return. That's chilling, because then the government can take anybody, citizen or non-citizen, dissidents, and put them in El Salvador, and no court will be able to provide protection. We've never seen anything like that before in American history. We've never seen a president claim such power in American history.
And just very quickly, what does that mean for the Constitution and for this constitutional crisis, which may already be underway?
We are in a constitutional crisis, but I think that this is the most important issue. If a president can violate the Constitution laws and ignore court orders, then the president can do literally anything. And then it's not a democracy, not under the Constitution, then it's a dictatorship. Hopefully we'll never come to that point.
Your lips to God's ear. Owen Shermansky, thank you so for being with us. Your time is very much appreciated.
Thank you.
With this footnote, a U.S. Senator who travelled to El Salvador to try and meet with Xiomara Abrego Garcia was refused entry to the mega prison holding. Maryland Democrat Chris Van Hollen says he was asked, actually asked El Salvador's vice president if he could at least have a phone conversation with Abrego Garcia.
Are you
but that
ready?
request was also denied.
This should be
Van
pretty
Hollen
easy.
says he'll
I've kept it
continue
simple
to press
since
for
you all
answers
seem
about
pretty
Abrego
simple.
Garcia's release. And he says all members of Congress will be visiting El Salvador on
straight ahead, low IQ kind of.
I'm asking President Bailey, under his authority as president of El Salvador, to do the right thing.
Okay, armed robbery. Here we
and
go.
allow Mr. Abrego Garcia to walk out of a prison. A man who's charged with no crime, convicted of no crime, and who was illegally abducted from the United States.
The president of El Salvador visited the White House earlier this week. He did say he had the authority to release Abrego Garcia, but added it would be, quote, preposterous to smuggle a terrorist into the U.S. Abrego Garcia's lawyers say he has not been charged with any crimes in the United States, nor in El Salvador, nor is he a gang member. The Trump administration even admitted in court that he was mistakenly deported due to a clerical error, but now they deny that, alleging he is a member of the MS-13 gang. U.S. stocks fell on Wednesday after a stark warning from the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell about the potential impacts of President Trump's tariffs. Investors have been wrestling with the unpredictability of the trade war for weeks now. Powell says higher inflation, slower economic growth are likely to occur given the unprecedented nature of the Trump tariffs.
The level of tariff increases announced so far is significantly larger than anticipated, and the same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth.
The markets reflected Powell's concerns about the economy. The Dow tumbled 700 points. S&P 500 fell more than 2%. The Nasdaq down by more than 3%. The World Trade Organization is issuing a similar warning, but on a global scale. A new report says trading prospects have deteriorated sharply since the announcement of President Trump's reciprocal tariffs. The group expects global trade to shrink by 0.2% compared to a 2.7% growth forecast before the trade war. The WTO predicts North America will be hit the hardest and will see greater economic slowdown, and shrinking economies will have a widespread impact.
A decoupling between the two major economies could have far-reaching consequences. If it were to contribute to a broader fragmentation of the global economy along geopolitical lines into two isolated blocks, our estimates suggest that global real GDP would be lowered by nearly 7% in the long term. This is quite significant and substantial.
Like to Seoul now, where CNN's Mike Valerio is following news of the tariff standoff and the trade war. One point that this WTO report made is that if there is a slowdown in world trade, it's developing countries whose economies have this outsized hit compared to the wealthier nations.
That's right, and that's one of the reasons why we see China's President Xi Jinping in Malaysia, Cambodia, and Vietnam trying to garner and add those nations to his cause. But, as we're looking, John, at the headlines from the region, we seem, and I emphasize seem, to have movement when it comes to making a trade deal with Japan. So we're going to focus on Japan first. That's where we had the lead negotiator in terms of the Minister of Economic Revival, Ryosei Akazawa, who was in the West Wing. President Trump shows up unexpectedly, and Akazawa is presented with a red signed MAGA hat. It seems to be a convivial conversation. Of course, this is a key U.S. ally, around ballpark 50,000 American troops, a huge trade partner next to China. And this is the readout of what Akazawa said was the result of that meeting. Akazawa was saying in part to members of the press, quote, "We are very grateful that President Trump met with us. The president never strongly stated, this is what we're going to do, but rather said, Japan is the top priority in the talks." He then goes on to say, "We would like to continue to make concerted government efforts to continue to give highest priority and full force to these negotiations." So the point here is, John, that the White House is, I'm not going to say, choosing our words carefully here, their full intent is to show the world that it can make a deal with a huge trading partner like Japan to try to quell and assuage the concerns of the markets, as we have zero movement with China, which is going to be our next topic of conversation. John, at this hour, we have new reporting from our team in the region that has a new understanding of what Beijing's point of view is right now. This is according to a person familiar with the government thinking. And apparently Beijing is still open, John, open to the possibility of a summit. But sincerity, consistency, and reciprocity are needed in negotiations. According to the person's thinking in Beijing, there seems to be a huge deal of confusion why President Trump continues to have glowing statements about Xi Jinping, who is on this tour of Malaysia, Cambodia, and Vietnam. But you hear Vice President J.D. Vance, you hear the Treasury Secretary, you hear Trade Representative using very hawkish language against China. So there seems to be confusion. What is it going to be? Can the United States speak with one voice? So no movement on potential talks and making a deal, or at least a phone call between Xi and President Trump. And then wrapping up here, we have South Korea, where we're broadcasting from right now. Another key U.S. ally, like Japan, being hammered with these auto tariffs. Tariffs on automobiles, steel, aluminum. Those are in effect, even though the April 2nd Rose Garden tariffs, the quote-unquote reciprocal, not so much reciprocal tariffs, are paused. South Korea is hoping that it can repeat what Japan is reporting today and have seemingly successful negotiations getting off on the right foot beginning sometime next week, John.
Everyone gets a tariff at some point. Mike Valeria there in Seoul. Thank you, sir, for the update and the reporting.
Thanks, John.
The Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, is working to revoke Harvard University's tax-exempt status, according to two sources. If that happens, it would be an extraordinary retaliation by the Trump administration, the university's defiance of the president's demand for sweeping policy changes. The administration has already frozen more than $2 billion in funding for Harvard, which professors and experts warn will have a dire effect on research nationwide. White House claims the proposed policy changes are meant to combat anti-Semitism on campus. Last year's contentious student protests over the war in Gaza. Final decision on Harvard's tax status is expected soon. Well, in a moment, Puerto Rico is now blacked out across the entire island. When we return to look at that massive power outage in the mostly Catholic US territory just days before. Also, some groups in the UK celebrating a landmark Supreme Court ruling which says trans women should not be legally defined as women. A report from London.
Visionaries in association with the Bloomberg.
Sports really helped us because I think my dad and my mom saw articles about how important it can be for girls to get into sports because it gives them something to do, something for their bodies to evolve in. My dad can tell you, he's a big research guy. He loves to know things. And from, I think, right when right when we were born, he knew he would never treat us differently than he would any son. I think my mom, the way that she gives us confidence and makes us feel so beautiful constantly has really helped because it's not always easy when, again, you're the big girl going to school with the small girls who just don't understand it. So she really constantly makes us, all my sisters and I, feel so beautiful. And I think that's now our goal, is to always make her feel beautiful as well, because she did so much for us, and why we now feel this way.
Nothing is handed to you in the women's game. I want to help women's football grow. Show women can be involved in all aspects of the game. With unity, supporting women involvement. I want to speak up and the more women make. Because when you read about it, you inspire the future.
Are you sleeping right now? It could be harming your health. Back pain, stress, and serious health risks can build up from sitting too long. But motion changes everything. Introducing Ready Rocker with its patented Rock Perfect design that supports your spine, as it helps improve posture, relieve back pain, boost circulation, and release endorphins for your overall well-being. Lightweight, portable, and covered in memory foam, Ready Rocker instantly transforms any chair or space into a healthier sitting experience.
Well, it's just unhealthy. It's unhealthy. With Ready Rocker, we make sitting a healthier experience for people of all ages.
Feeding babies, helping with posture, back pain, and stress. We discovered that raw meat can truly improve them. Sedentary lifestyle, whether you're sitting at a desk or in a vehicle all day, is not good for the body. And that's why the Ready Rocker is so effective. The rocking motion instantly keeps you fit and helps you ease pain, reduces stress. It's a new stress.
I used to be in pain all the time. But with Ready Rocker, and I'm in a better mood.
Feel the stress being taken off my joints while rocking. My back stopped hurting, my arthritis felt better. It's just wonderful.
Thousands are finding relief with Ready Rocker, and now you can too. For a limited time, you can get Ready Rocker for just 4 easy payments of only $29.99. Call now. Really keep the smart strap to secure and carry your Ready Rocker. And this protective cover, a $40 value free. Plus, we'll even ship it to you for free. That's an incredible value for the low price you see on your screen. So don't delay. Order today.
Call 1-800-801-2976 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. That's 1-800-801-2976 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. Call now.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading? Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud. Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 1 million satisfied customers. Visit legacybox.com.
I'm Christiana Manpour in London, and this is CNN.
Tonight, the lights went out in Puerto Rico. All 1.4 million homes and businesses on the grid are without electricity right now. At least 78,000 of those customers have no running water either. No word on what caused the blackout, and it could be days before power is fully restored, which means the island's majority Catholic population may just be celebrating Easter in the dark. The Israeli military targeted displacement camps in southern and northern Gaza, according to Palestinian officials overnight. They say at least 15 people were killed after the strikes on 2 tent cities. The images showed the horrific scenes after the attacks, with emergency workers trying to put out large fires. Several people were also reportedly hurt in the attack. Israel says it has turned the buffer zone. CNN has reported earlier that the buffer zone is about 1 kilometre wide and it's off limits to all Palestinians.
If we getting bogged down,
buildings have been systematically razed to the ground in those areas.
We can't get bogged down.
The United Nations says Israel has ordered 400,000 Palestinians to evacuate since a fragile ceasefire ended last month. And according to the UN, more than 2/3 of Gaza is now either under active displacement orders or designated no-go areas. A landmark ruling from the UK Supreme Court says the legal definition of woman excludes transgender women. Wednesday's decision will likely have sweeping consequences for the application of equality laws. CNN Summer Delaziz reports now from London.
How do you define a woman by law? The United Kingdom's highest court just ruled that the legal definition of a woman excludes trans women. The British Supreme Court's unanimous decision also says, quote, if the concept of sex is binary, a person is either a woman or a man, end quote. This is as it pertains to the application of the country's equality laws. Transgender people will still have legal protection, the court says.
The unanimous decision of this court was that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex. But we counsel against reading this judgment as a triumph of one or more groups in our society at the expense of another.
Inside the courtroom, it was 4 women in Scotland that would celebrate. The campaign group that brought the case, which challenges guidance from the Scottish government that a trans woman with a gender recognition certificate is legally a woman and therefore entitled to sex-based protections. The group argued those protections only apply to people that they say are born female. J.K. Rowling, a supporter of the group, has donated to them, according to UK media outlets. The Scottish Greens, the political party, said the ruling was a huge blow to some of the most marginalized people in our society and concerning for human rights. While the ruling stems from a debate in Scotland, it is a decision that will have sweeping consequences for how equality laws are applied across all of the UK, and its impact will be closely watched by transgender activists around the world. Sam Abdulaziz, CNN, London.
Still to come here on CNN. He went kite surfing in Colombia, somehow wound up in a Venezuelan jail. Hasn't been heard from in months.
Is it a boat? Is it a plane? Well, it's kind of both, and it's zero emissions. Belfast-based Artemis Technologies developed these vessels. Its mission? To decarbonise maritime transport.
In terms of people transportation, there's a lot of opportunity with this technology to think about using our waterways as well.
It uses an underwater wing that lifts the boat's hull out of water, drastically reducing drag. Powered by an electric battery, these vessels are vastly more efficient than conventional diesel-powered boats.
We are the only solution worldwide in high-speed maritime that you can both practically and economically decarbonise your operations.
You can see it's pretty choppy out there. There's some wind, but completely steady on ship. So there is a sense of clean flight as well. It's pretty bizarre.
Stay tuned to get this 5-piece bakeware set, a $60 value, absolutely free. Tired of that pan that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammered pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before.
Gosh, what I love most about this design is this hammered copper look. It would just look so fantastic hanging in my kitchen.
Wow, this is a beautiful pan. It looks great. Look at those eggs dancing around in there. I tell you, I'm sold. Where do I get these? I love them.
Hammered pans are ultra non-stick. Nothing sticks. Even gooey mac and cheese slips out with ease. And look, these sticky candies melted with a torch are no match for hammered pans. Plus, they're super durable. So use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips out and a pan that looks just like new. They're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie, cheesy lasagna, or this whole chicken dinner. Any recipe looks great in these pans, from steak flambe to delicious desserts and delicate fish. Nothing sticks. Plus, the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Similar sets are over $1,000, but you won't pay that. Not $500 or even $300. Get the full 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop 1 payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99, and we'll even guarantee it for a full 10 years. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. Together, these are are an $80 value. Yours 100% free. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
To order, call 1-800-807-6648 or go to buyhammer.com. That's 1-800-807-6648, or you can order online at buyhammer.com.
My happy place. One place I could truly be myself.
I want people to experience this beautifully diverse city. There's no other place like it. My Happy Place premieres April 27th on CNN.
I'm Mike Valerio in Seoul, South Korea, and this is CNN.
Hey, son, before you get married, we need to have the talk.
Not right now, Dad. I need to go for my vows. Is L. Duncan going to talk to me about
Setting a budget. I heard that you won that long shot parlay, but that you haven't won since. Just because you win big once doesn't mean you figured it all out.
Still need to have that talk about
Celebrating love. That is what today is all about. At ESPN, we believe the best play is a smart play. Here's to generations of fearless, unstoppable.
It's hard on the ground. This means he is safe.
I can, and I will, and I am. Here's to the next generation. Find your league. Get him again. I'm Christy Lustau in Hong Kong, and this is CNN.
Welcome back to CNN Newsroom. I'm John Forbes. Let's check today's top stories. U.S. District Judge has ruled there's probable cause to hold members of the Trump administration in criminal contempt. He says they violated his order to stop the deportation of alleged Venezuelan gang members last month. The Trump Justice Department is appealing. U.S. stocks fell on Wednesday after the head of the Federal Reserve warned the reciprocal tariffs will likely result in higher inflation, slower economic growth, and higher unemployment. U.S. markets closed down Wednesday amid the fallout from Donald Trump's erratic trade policy. And the World Trade Organization also has words of caution on the trade war, with predictions Trump's tariffs will negatively impact the U.S. and other economies around the world. The group adjusted their trade forecast for the year, initially predicting nearly 3% growth, now expecting global trade to shrink by 0.2%. What was meant to be a kite-surfing vacation in Colombia has become a living nightmare for a French-American tourist. His family says he's been detained in Venezuela for more than 3 months, taken by Venezuelan troops before he even set foot in neighboring Colombia. CNN's Suarez has the story.
This is how Sophie Hunter found out her brother had been arrested.
Je veux pas te faire flipper, en fait, je me suis fait appeler par les Vénézuéliens et ça fait depuis 4 heures.
With a voice message, a location pin, placing him on Venezuelan soil. Her 37-year-old brother, French-American Lucas Hunter, had been traveling around northern Colombia to kite surf along the coast, sending Sophie regular updates about the places he was visiting. But on January 7th, he told her something different.
I was riding my scooter, I got a bit lost, I came close to a border checkpoint, I reversed, and I got grabbed, that's the word he used, by Venezuelan military forces. They took me across the border.
They continued to text for the next 24 hours, but then the messages stopped.
Since the 8th of January, 1 p.m. local time, we haven't heard from him. We have no idea where he is. The governments have no idea.
Venezuelan authorities haven't responded to our requests for information. For now, it is unclear where Hunter is being held. But the last group of Americans to be released from Venezuela were held here at this high-security prison on the outskirts of Caracas called Rodeo Uno. Activists say that this is the prison where those who challenge the government are held, but also dozens of foreigners.
They could do anything they want, put it that way. And they did.
Until January, David Estrella was one of those Americans, accused by the government of wanting to bring down Maduro. He says he was just a tourist. Inside, he says he was tortured and made to feel insignificant.
They said many times, they say, we can disappear you, eliminate you. You don't exist in this country. They were right. You didn't exist there. So, like they said, they can make a hole on the ground and shoot you and disappear and nobody knows.
Venezuela denies any allegations of torture, but Estrella was only released on January 31st, after President Donald Trump sent Special Envoy Richard Grenell to negotiate directly with Maduro, the first U.S. official to do so in years.
I can't believe we're here.
5 other Americans went home with Estrella, but Hunter wasn't among them.
Obviously, I was a bit sad. However, I was very happy that some of the Americans got out. Because for me, that meant maybe we can understand more about the conditions.
The State Department says Hunter is unjustly detained and continues to seek the release of all Americans, 10 in total, arrested by the regime in Venezuela. Months after he was supposed to come home, Lucas's flat in Paris now bears the marks of his absence. His family have kept his things intact, certain he'll be back.
He's, strong in everything. I also know that he has a soft side inside, and that's why I'm a bit worried for his mental health, for his asthma, and how he can keep his spirits up.
Isa Suarez, CNN, London.
Still ahead, a potential answer to that profound question. Are we alone? Scientists say they have found strong evidence of signs of possible life on another planet. It's just 124 light years away.
Excellence on your journey. Next to sport. Tire.
Are you sitting right now? It could be harming your health. Back pain, stress, and serious health risks can build up from sitting too long. But motion changes everything. Introducing Ready Rocker with its patented Rock Perfect design that supports your spine as it helps improve posture, relieve back pain, boost circulation, and release endorphins for your overall well-being, no matter where you are. Lightweight, portable, and covered in memory foam, Ready Rocker instantly transforms any chair or space into a healthier sitting experience.
Sitting too long isn't just uncomfortable, it's unhealthy. With Ready Rocker, we make sitting a healthier experience for people of all ages.
From soothing babies to helping with posture, back pain, and stress, we discovered that rocking can truly improve lives.
Sitting is the new smoking. A sedentary lifestyle, whether you're sitting at a desk or in a vehicle all day, is not good for the body to just stay in that same position. And that's why the Ready Rocker is so effective. The rocking motion constantly keeps you active and helps you ease pain, reduces stress. It's a mood booster.
I used to be in pain all the time, but with Ready Rocker, I felt relief, and I'm in a better mood. I take it everywhere.
I can literally feel the stress being taken off my joints while rocking. My back stopped hurting, my arthritis felt better. It's just wonderful.
Now you can join the movement that's changing lives and helping thousands find relief. Call now or go online to get 40% off your purchase. We'll even ship it for free. Plus, you'll get this bonus smart strap to secure your Ready Rocker and the Ready Rocker protective cover.
Ready Rocker is changing lives one rock at a time.
Now it's your turn to experience the relief for yourself.
Call 1-800-774-1914 or go to buyreadyrocker.com. That's 1-800-774-1914 or go to buyreadyrocker.com. Call now.
Weight loss medications you can actually afford? Yes. If you qualify at Zelfie, providers can prescribe GLP-1 medications like Ozempic and Wegovy that are 90% less expensive. All 100% online, shipped directly to your door. That's right, GLP-1s for as little as $25 a month, shipped directly to your door. No more doctor's visits and waiting in line at the pharmacy. Just text the word TOOL to 200-300 right now and see if you qualify at Zelfie for medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, Manjaro, and other GLP-1s for as little as $25 a month. With or without insurance, Zelfie makes getting GLP-1 medications affordable and accessible, up to 90% less expensive. Just connect with a Zelfie provider right on your phone and get treatment options so you can find the right medication for your budget and your goals. And Zelfie is 100% online. No doctor's visit needed or trip to the pharmacy. So don't wait. Text TOOL to 200-300 to get started with Zelfie today. Text TOOL to 200-300. That's TOOL to 200-300.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading? Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud. Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 1 million satisfied customers. Visit legacybox.com today to get our $9 offer.
This is One World.
The world's top headlines with some of the world's biggest players.
Stories that captivate from two unique perspectives.
What does that mean for wider escalation?
One World with Zain Asher and Biana Golodriga. Today on CNN.
I'm Nick Watt in Los Angeles, and this is CNN.
Scientists say they found the strongest evidence yet of possible life on another planet. Using the James Webb Space Telescope, researchers detected two gases which here on Earth are only produced by biological things like algae. They say the possible biosignature came from a large exoplanet about 124 light years from here in the constellation Leo. The study's lead author calls it a transformational moment.
Not only that there is a chance that the planet can actually be habitable, but what we are finding is that we are demonstrating that it is possible to detect biosignatures around in atmospheres of such planets around nearby stars with existing facilities, and that's a big breakthrough.
But before you think, Kippy, there's another planet out there, the findings are promising, but scientists are not saying actual living organisms have been found, and they stress a lot more research is still needed. Another scientific first was the first video images of a colossal squid in its deep-sea home. This video of a juvenile squid was recorded by a remotely operated vehicle at a depth of 600 meters in the South Atlantic Ocean. Right now, this teenager squid is about 30 centimeters long, but can grow up to 7 meters. It's been 100 years since the animal was first identified and named. The owner of a small independent bookstore in Chelsea, Michigan, decided to relocate to a new building around the block. She got hundreds of helping hands from enthusiastic townspeople. About 300, in fact, volunteered to create an assembly line on Sunday to move all 9,100 books by hand to the right shelves in the new store. It took less than 2 hours. The owner hopes to open the new bookstore within 2 weeks. We will just really look out for each other, she said. That little bookstop around the corner. I'm John Force, back at the top of the hour with more CNN Newsroom, but please stay with us. World Sports starts after a short break.
Weight loss medications you can actually afford? Yes. If you qualify at Zelfie, providers can prescribe GLP-1 medications like Ozempic and Wegovy that are 90% less expensive, all 100% online, shipped directly to your door. That's right, GLP-1s for as little as $25 a month, shipped directly to your door. No more doctor's visits and waiting in line at the pharmacy. Just text the word TOOL to 200-300 right now and see if you qualify at Zelfie for medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, Manjaro, and other GLP-1s for as little as $25 a month. With or without insurance, Zelfie makes getting GLP-1 medications affordable and accessible, up to 90% less expensive. Just connect with a Zelfie provider right on your phone and get treatment options so you can find the right medication for your budget and your goals. And Zelfie is 100% online. No doctor's visit needed or trip to the pharmacy. So don't wait. Text TOOL to 200-300 to get started with Zelfie today. Text TOOL to 200-300. That's TOOL to 200-300.
Everyday life is filled with everyday messes. You need a vacuum, sweeper, and rags to clean up spills big and small. But now there's an easier way to clean it all. Introducing Ruvio. The powerful cordless hand vac you can take anywhere for quick pickups, messes, and spills. Flip up the built-in dusting brush to clean delicate screens, furniture, and electronics without scratching. The two-stage stainless steel reusable HEPA filtration system helps clean the air of allergens, pet dander, and other airborne particles. And when you're done, simply twist off the dust container so you never have to touch the mess. The long life battery gives you the suction power to quick clean kids' messes, pet messes, kitchen messes, bathroom messes, any messes in the garage or in the office. And it's the perfect size to keep in your car for easy cleanups whenever they happen. It's cordless, it's powerful, it's easy, it's Rubio.
This is the only vacuum you need.
This is the most versatile vacuum I've ever owned.
The battery life is incredible. You can just keep on cleaning.
It's cordless, it's light as a feather, it's versatile. You really couldn't ask for anything more in a vacuum.
I really love the convenience of Rubio.
My kids can even grab it and they can clean up their own messes. We use it every day. It's a great fit for our family.
Get Rubio with wall charger and crevice tool, plus the portable charging station for just 4 easy payments of $33. And the shipping is free. But there's still more. We'll take off one payment for you when you order now. You get it all. The Rubio cordless vacuum with charger, crevice tool, and charging station. A total value of $185. Yours for only 3 easy payments of $33. And the shipping is free. Don't mess with messes anymore. Get the one that gets the job done. Get Rubio.
To order, call 1-800-399-3241. That's 1-800-399-3241, or go online to buyrubio.com.
We try to be global and we try to be smart. But I want to hear authentic voices of people who are passionate, who are intelligent, and that's the consistency that we try to get at.
Fareed Zakaria, GPS, Sundays on CNN. This is CNN.
More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Step up. Prep up. With Descovy for PrEP. Descovy for PrEP helps protect against HIV. It's not for everyone. Descovy for PrEP is not for people assigned female at birth. Talk to your healthcare provider to find out if Descovy, the smallest PrEP pill available, is right for you. In a 2-year study, 99.7% of people stayed HIV negative while on Descovy. Descovy doesn't prevent other sexually transmitted infections, so use safer sex practices. You must test HIV negative before and at least every 3 months while taking Descovy. Tell your healthcare provider right away if you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms. They may want to test you for HIV. Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Rare life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. The most common side effect was diarrhea. Tell your healthcare provider about all the medicines and supplements you take, or if you have kidneys or liver problems. If you have hepatitis B, don't stop taking Descovy without talking to your healthcare provider, as your hepatitis B may get worse. Ask your healthcare provider if Descovy for PrEP is right for you. Get help paying for Descovy for PrEP. Learn more at Descovy.com.
I'm Vidya Suarez in London, and this is CNN.
Hello there and welcome. Hello there and welcome to CNN World Sport.
Yes.
Threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. Don't take Biktarvy if you take dofetamide or Ricampin. Tell your healthcare provider about all the medicines and supplements you take. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding or have kidney or liver problems. If you have hepatitis B, don't stop taking Biktarvy without talking to your healthcare provider. Common side effects are diarrhea, nausea, and headache.
No matter where life takes you, Biktarvy can go with you. Talk to your healthcare provider today.
Someone stole my social security number and filed a tax return in my name, and I'm a CPA. Your tax forms have all the personal information a criminal needs to secure your identity. And in 2024, the IRS flagged nearly 2 million tax returns for possible identity fraud. LifeLock alerts you to the widest volume of threats others could miss. And if your identity is stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it, guaranteed. Enroll now.
Food is Gina's passion, but diabetes threatened to take that all away. With Dexcom G7, Gina learned how different foods affect your sugar levels in real time, but she doesn't have to choose between the food that she loves and her health.
I'm working on it.
From watching her first hockey game to playing one. At Credit One Bank, we believe having the credit and rewards for the little moments today can lead to even bigger ones tomorrow. Credit One Bank for what's ahead.
I need products that work just as hard as I do. That's why I choose Pretty Litter, the health monitoring cat litter with advanced odor control. Each lightweight bag lasts up to a month. I suggest you make the switch and see why Pretty Litter is on my list of favorite things.
Wow, incredible, amazing. My go-to is Lumify Eye Drop. Lumify dramatically reduces redness.
In 1 minute.
And look at the difference. My eyes get brighter and whiter for up to 8 hours. Lumify is kind of amazing. See for yourself.
Consumer Cellular, ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction.
Hi, my friend Linda has you guys that gets way better coverage than I do. Sounds like Linda has beat only in coverage.
And plans start at $20.
Okay, Prestige.
Get your second month free when you switch to Consumer Cellular.
To remind you that 60% of sales on Amazon come from independent sellers. Lacey from Lily's of Charleston will watch 60 contestants eat 60 hot wings, all covered in Lily's hot sauce.
Ooh, honey, don't touch your face.
To remind you that 60% of sales on Amazon come from independent sellers, Farmer Bob and his Princeton popcorn will be in this ad 60% of the time. Great job, Bob.
Last month, the Trump administration appeared to defy a court order when a judge ordered them to turn around planes that were taking people from the United States to a prison in El Salvador. After the planes didn't turn around and landed in El Salvador, the president of that country mocked the judge's order by tweeting, quote, "Oopsie, too late." He literally used the word oopsie. That was then reposted by America's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Well, today, the judge in that case wrote that there's probable cause for contempt charges against Trump administration officials. He cited that instance specifically. Quote, "Boasts by defendants intimated that they had defied the court's order deliberately and gleefully." The Secretary of State, for instance, retweeted a post in which, above a news headline noting this court's order to return the flights to the U.S., the president of El Salvador wrote, "Oopsie, too late." Life comes at you fast, Marco Rubio. Joining us now is Lee Gallant, Deputy Director of the ACLU's Immigrants' Rights Project and the lead attorney in this case against the administration. Mr. Gallant, thank you very much for being with us tonight. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Rachel.
This is one of those rulings from a federal judge that gets read on nightly news shows because it is narrative and it is written in a way that is designed to make clear to all people, not just lawyers, how serious the stakes are here and how badly, in this judge's estimation, the administration has messed up on something very serious. What's your reaction?
Yeah, a few things. I mean, first of all, your introduction, I think, did it right. This is serious business, and we're in a very serious place. And I think you're right about the way the judge wrote it. I think he's writing for more than just the lawyers, more than just law professors. He's trying to talk to the American public about what it would mean if court orders are violated. And I think the other thing he said, which is really important, is because I've been sitting there in court, obviously, for all of these hearings, is he has given the government time and time again the opportunity to explain themselves, and they've simply refused. The most important thing from our standpoint is I'm going to let other people get into whether we're at a constitutional crisis now or approaching it and what it means for the rule of law in a larger sense. The most important thing for me today was that the court said
We did it, Joe. We did it.
They do the right thing and bring these men back. And obviously, everyone's focused on Kilmer right now, and that's critically important that he be brought back. But in our case, there were hundreds of Venezuelan men who were wrongfully sent to this prison and are there now. And I think Judge Boasberg's saying, look, as bad as this was, I don't need to go through with all this if you just do the right thing and bring these men back. Unfortunately, the government has already appealed his order. His order came out this afternoon. They've already appealed it rather than saying, okay, we'll do the right thing and bring these men back.
And to be clearly, what the judge is signaling here is that the Trump administration does not need to set all of these people free or release them or do any other specific thing. The judge is simply saying that these men must be brought back into the custody of the United States, that they must be under the control and custody of the United States so that the proceedings on any number of their cases can proceed along the lines that are afforded under the Constitution, right? He's not telling the administration that they need to do any one thing with any of these men other than put them back under U.S. control.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Rachel. That's absolutely right. The judge has gone out of his way to make clear that he is not ordering these men to be released on U.S. streets. If they've committed crimes, they could be prosecuted, they can be detained under our immigration laws, and they can be removed under our immigration laws. But they can't be sentenced to a foreign prison, potentially for the rest of their lives, without due process. What he is saying is bring them back to the U.S., give them due process, and if ultimately they're deported under the immigration laws, then they're deported under the immigration laws. But he is not by any means saying they should be free to be out of detention until they have due process and can prove that they're not gang members. But that's exactly right. I mean, there's a false choice going on here where it's we either send them to this brutal Salvadoran prison for the rest of their lives or we let them out on U.S. streets. That's not what's going on. He's simply saying you cannot use a wartime authority without any due process. And he's been 100% clear about it. The government knows that. And what he has said to the government point blank in court is, look, if anybody in the administration is going out there saying, I'm letting these people out on the street, they need to stop doing it. He's, I think, really upset that people are mischaracterizing what he's doing.
Do you expect, I guess the way to ask this is, do you expect a predictable outcome if this case does result in Trump administration officials being held in contempt? I feel like that is something that is very rare in U.S. history. It's certainly very rare on a matter like this, where the government has been given lots and lots and lots of opportunity to remedy its compliance with court's orders. Is there anything that we should sort of be preparing ourselves for if contempt proceedings do proceed here?
You know, if the government is going to put people on the stand, it will be surprising to me, at least. I think the only thing that's predictable now about the Trump administration is they're going to take this all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court again. And how the court rules, I don't know. But I don't see the government saying, sure, we'll bring the people back, we'll do the right thing, or sure, we'll take the stand and tell you the truth. I wish one of those two things would happen. But right now, based on what I've seen the last few months, I don't see the Trump administration doing it. So I would say, in answer to your question, the only thing that's predictable is they will keep fighting. They've already appealed to the circuit, and I suspect they'll go to the Supreme Court. And that's unfortunate that they're going to, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even if they do go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court tells them to bring these guys back, they're going to bring these guys back. They are, because they have to, because there's no other choice. There's no choose your own adventure in our country where an order like that from the Supreme Court is defied. It just doesn't. They may hem and haw, but it's just not going to happen. We're not going to be there. Lee Gillard, Deputy Director for the ACLU's Immigrants' Rights Project, the lead lawyer in this case against the Trump administration. Lee, I know it's been a long and very intense day. Thanks for your help tonight.
Thanks, Rachel.
I'll be right back.
I love dirt, especially in spring.
Here's Martha Stewart talking about dirt again.
Well, this is my favorite time of year.
We do the same thing every year. Organic soil, funny plants, feeding everything really well.
And I'm going to get incredible results.
When allergies throw a sucker punch,
The power of Claritin D punches back harder. Get fast, powerful relief of your worst symptoms, like nasal congestion. Claritin clears.
Work. Play. Wake. Release. Work. Play. Wake. Release.
The only 3-in-1 extended relief formula for dry eyes.
Wake.
Joey?
From meeting for coffee, Megan, I love you, to meeting the family. At Credit One Bank, we believe having the credit and rewards for the little moments today can lead to even bigger ones tomorrow. Credit One Bank, for what's ahead.
What's the secret to life-changing transformations like these? Sono Bello, America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist.
I can wear what I want when. All that is gone.
As you can see, no holds out happens. They removed all that fat.
I feel amazing. My confidence is through the roof.
This shirt was tight on me, and now it's loose.
I feel absolutely amazing.
Book your free, no obligation consultation today. Call or go to sonobello.com.
Salon Pass Lidocaine Flex, a super thin, flexible patch with maximum OTC strength lidocaine that contours to the body to relieve pain right where it hurts. And did we mention it really, really sticks? Salon Pass, it's good medicine.
United Healthcare knows you've got your whole life ahead of you.
Show me where they are.
It's nice to know you're free to focus on what matters. With reliable Medicare coverage from United Healthcare.
The Safe Step walk-in shower delivers unmatched safety and comfort to make showering easier and give you back your independence. With low entry thresholds, slip-resistant floors, and easy-to-reach grab bars, you're safeguarded against slips and falls. And the built-in foldable seat provides convenience, while the easy-to-use shower wand offers a soothing, customizable rinse. And our quick installation process gets you enjoying your new shower sooner. Safe Step, where comfort matters and peace of mind comes standard.
Safe like repair, safe like replace.
Nobody likes a cracked windshield. But at least you can go to SafeLight.com and schedule a fix in minutes. Go to SafeLight.com and schedule a replacement today.
Safe like repair, safe like replace.
Oh, I wish my TV provider let me choose what I pay for.
Sling lets you do that, soft boy.
Good. Choose and customize your channel lineup or pause and watch for free. Sling lets you do that.
9 tablets of 100 milligram generic Viagra for $7. Honestly, I thought it was a scam, but Friday Plans made the process so simple. No awkward doctor visits, no hidden fees, and free shipping to my door. The pills work just like the name brand, and the results? Let's just say my wife hasn't stopped smiling. It's the best $7 I've spent in years. All you need to do is go to FridayPlansPack.com and answer a few medical questions. A doctor reviews your answers and prescribes you online if appropriate. It arrives in just 3 days in a discreet package. Each tablet is individually packed. You get 9 tablets of 100 milligram generic Viagra for just $7. The prescription is free and the shipping is free as well. The pills work just... The prescription is free and the shipping is free as well. The pills work just like the name brand. I feel like I'm in my 20s again, and my wife says I've never been more confident. I'm blown away by how easy and affordable it was. My only regret is waiting so long. Seriously, this deal from Friday Plans is too good to miss. Go to FridayPlansPack.com and try it. You won't regret it.
All right, that's going to do it for me tonight. I will see you again tomorrow and every night this week at 9 p.m. Eastern. But now it is time for the last word with the great Lawrence O'Donnell. Good evening, Lawrence.
Rachel, I have to tell you, there's so many memorable moments and interviews I've had watching your hour of television tonight. Senator Van Hollen from El Salvador is one of the real high points. It was just an amazing situation to be in, that he's there, the reason he's there. And your interview with him was absolutely riveting from start to finish.
Thank you. I mean, I feel really lucky that we were able to get him. I mean, it's very affecting to me to see him standing alone. There's all these members of Congress, Democratic members of Congress and senators who said, we'll go with you. You know, like, let's go as a phalanx. And he just said, he went down there on his own, senior senator from Maryland, and said, this guy's my constituent. I told his mother and I told his wife that I would try to get him out. I told them I would do everything that I could. This is me trying to do everything that I can. And he'd said in the interview, you know, like, he may be back next week. and that other members of Congress are going to be there too, and he believes that they are going to get him out. A court order should be all it takes. But in this case, it's going to take all sorts of pressure from all sorts of elected officials and others doing all sorts of things we never thought an American politician would have to do. But Senator Van Hollen just down there kind of humbly doing the work and trying to get that outcome is really a very moving thing for me.
Yeah, it really is. It is literally like nothing we've ever seen before, nothing we ever anticipated we would need to see. But he just did the most important work he could possibly have done on this day as a senator from Maryland.
Yeah, we're used to seeing, individual elected officials or political figures out trying to negotiate the release of hostages held by other countries. In this case, that guy's being held because the U.S. government, not because of anybody
What
else.
movie we watching?
American representative
I'm
of
gaming
the US
right
government,
now.
US Senate, go there essentially to negotiate against our own government, holding an American in a foreign
What the fuck is
gulag.
going on?
It's just, it's amazing that it has to be done, but it's also amazing that he's doing it.
Thank you for delivering that story as fully as you did tonight with Senator Van Hollen. Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Lance.
Okay. Well, with Justice Department lawyers facing the possibility for the first time in history of being found in criminal contempt of court thanks entirely to Donald Trump, the greater tragedy that will be studied for centuries to come wherever American law and American history are taught is
tackle first. And so Jerome Powell made it clear they would deal with which is ever most urgent at that moment. Seemingly, for the time being, that would be higher prices. Don't look for cutting interest rates anytime soon. Richard Quest, CNN, New York.
Standing by in New York is Rana Faruha, CNN's global economic analyst and associate editor at the Financial Times. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Oh, good to see you.
Okay, so the Fed chair went on to say not only are Trump's tariffs higher than he expected, they're higher than the tariffs in the Smooth Hawley Act, which led to the Great Depression. This time, Powell says expect increased unemployment, slowing economic growth, and inflation. Here he is.
Inflation is likely to go up as tariffs find their way, and some part of those tariffs come to be paid by the public. Tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation. The inflationary effects could also be more persistent.
He didn't say it out loud, but it sounds like we have all the elements here for stagflation, and stagflation is the devil.
Absolutely. I mean, I dimly remember my parents and gas lines in the 70s, but it's been more than a generation since we've had stagflation. And so I think a lot of people just don't remember how devastating it was. I mean, if you were a new home buyer, you were looking at double-digit mortgages, slow growth, in compressed incomes. It was a bad time, and it really scarred consumer spending for
okay, I'm going to bed.
So
I'm tired.
It's no joke. When Powell talks the way he's talking, it's serious business.
And normally inflation, which we've seen recently, is a result of too much economic activity, right? Prices go up because of increased demand. Maybe employment is high, or there's a stimulus, which was too much. And we saw in the past 2 years how the Fed actually deals with inflation by increasing interest rates. But stagflation is a whole different story.
All right, y'all. Good night.
100%.
I'll see y'all tomorrow.
The economy was booming and running really hot, as it actually did during rate hikes. Now, that slows things down.